Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Astral Jules. Thank you, all my friends, my global friends, for your feedback on the talk that I did last week on Mercury, the messenger of the gods. It was very comprehensive information that came out, and you received it very well. So my mission from God is actually working. You guys are you really rock. It's fantastic. Hello, everyone from Facebook and Rumble. Please place your comments below, like and subscribe. And by all means, put your comments in the chat, and if we can get to them during the live, we will do so. And today we've got a special guest, and this wonderful woman is from Melbourne, and her name is Alicia Dumais Temmerman. And Alicia had an extraordinary experience in 2012, and that was the time of the Great Awakening. Planetary forces, we had Uranus squaring Pluto, and a lot of people had amazing awakenings. And this woman, she's gone from a wife and mum of 4 children and life as a corporate lawyer. She had a massive change in her life, and she's here to tell you all about it. So welcome, Alicia. Welcome, Alicia.
Thank you. So good to be here. Thanks for having me, Julie.
You're welcome. So your life has basically been flipped on its head, and this major change that you had, absolutely extraordinary. So tell us what happened. What happened to you, or for you?
For me, it's actually so interesting, because even as you shared that about the significance of 2012 from the planetary perspective, that's the first time I've actually ever heard that. Like I knew about the Mayan calendar, but only post what happened to me in 2012. I think I learned that 2012 was an important year, maybe 6 years after my actual awakening. I was a bit slow to connect the dots there, but I didn't even actually understand the specifics in the way that you just shared them about. What did you say? Pluto squared off with
Pluto squaring Uranus was the
right.
Yeah, it was the force that heralded in this. Even more so than the 60s. Where everyone wore flowers in their hairs. It was predicted also. By people like Barbara Hand Clow. In her book, there was the Pleiadian agenda and Bringers of the Dawn. They spoke about this great period of time, but it was such a long time ago that they wrote their books, that when it actually started happening, if you weren't in the loop, you didn't really know what was happening. But as an astrologer, and I sort of was hooked into the loop, it's like, hey, it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
You could
Well,
feel it.
yeah, so all of that, none of that I knew at the time. So I'll take your audience back to March 2012. And the period in my life leading up to that had been crazy busy. And I know many of your audience can relate to this when you're living your life and it feels a little bit like you're on autopilot and you're just trying to get through all of the things, your responsibilities, job, if you're in the workplace. And so at that time in my life, I had two little kids. I think we had like a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And I was working, I had just made a decision to leave. I'd worked in a big law firm for 10 years as an employment lawyer. And then I'd been working for a year in government. I tried to get a more flexible arrangement for being a working mum. And so I went from my part-time law firm job to a full-time government job, trying to get flexibility. Can you hear the craziness in this scenario? And I dropped my salary about $30,000 to try and find this flexible life. And I found myself in a job that was more intense, with less money and more working hours. So I had hit a point where I was taking my son to, he had a sore tummy, and I took him to get an ultrasound. And I remember it was just a disaster. My 3-year-old was running around the clinic, going crazy. Those parents out there, you know, when you're like the embarrassed parent, you can't control your kid. And I remember one of the people working there was like, your child's like taking over the clinic. I mean, she was 3, right? Which says something about this child, actually. She's pretty extraordinary. But my son wouldn't do all the right things. And it was just one of those hellish times where I just couldn't get it all working. And I remember we got out of there and I was thinking, I don't have time for this. I have to get back, because I'd given notice to leave my job, but was doing my notice period. I don't have time for this. I have to get back to work. I have to oversee the people within my team. I've got to do all this, all of the things on our to-do lists. But I haven't got time for this. And then I just felt this like kind of energetic slap, like, what are you doing? You have wanted to bring forth these children into the world, and now what? You've got no time for them when they need you. Like, your priorities are completely up whatever creek we say. So that was kind of like the precursor to then a year of a period where, no, actually, so this must have been prior to, because this was like my wake-up call, which was the precursor to the full awakening in 2012. So this event in the clinic was a year prior, and it was like from that time, I was like, okay, Alicia, get your priorities in order. And I've started going back to meditating. I started going back to journaling. I started wanting to connect back with myself. And that led to me then, I think, making the decision to leave my job. And then I went to a shaking meditation class just after I've decided to leave my job. And I'm shaking. And then suddenly I have this experience where my whole body starts to do its own thing and starts moving very systematically. Like, my right hand was like doing this, and then it would be like my left hand would do the matching thing. And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And I could feel like images coming in my mind, things coming out of my body, like seeing images of different interactions in my human life, like this kind of clearing and purifying thing. I thought it was weird. I'm looking around everyone else. Is this happening to other people? What's happening? Then probably 2 weeks after that is when the big awakening happened. So I call this the washing line experience, simply because I was hanging out the washing. We think, if we're wanting to have these spiritual experiences, it's going to be in some amazing location, or you're doing some amazing blissful thing. Well, parents out there, humans out there, all of us who have to just hang out washing, it's kind of interesting that it's like actually in the mundane of life that this happened. So I was hanging out washing, probably had no shoes on, feet in the grass on a good old Hills hoist in Melbourne. And then I had this experience where my body just kind of became overcome with calm. That probably doesn't sound right, but calmness came over me. And then I had my voice, Julie, starting to talk to me, but I wasn't actually initiating the voice or the words. And so what is happening is I felt like I kind of like stood still. It's almost like I might have been like this. Like if someone, I remember kind of in my mind thinking, if someone looks out the window or sees me, that it'll look like I'm playing statues or something. Like I was like just like frozen, right? And then I have this voice and it's saying, I am about maybe 20 times, 30 times, like trying to come through. I am. And I'm kind of like, what is going on? Finally breaks through. I am Goenga, your father's spirit guide, here to remind you what you are here to do on earth. And then he spoke about helping people remember the way, remembering who they truly are, and teaching the laws of energy. And so I'm like, oh, okay. In my logical lawyer mind, I'm thinking, right, one of two things is happening right now. I have just gone batshit crazy. Spontaneously, I've suddenly got like multiple personality disorder. I don't know what's going on. Or this is the real, like this is actually happening. And I mean, I knew that it was happening because it was happening. And I don't have any history of anything that would suggest that I would suddenly go crazy. I've always been very sensible, conservative, no drugs, no alcohol. Well, I certainly had my go of it, but since having kids, I didn't have time for that. So yeah, it was happening. And yeah, in that moment, I just knew it was true. It just felt, those moments, friends out there, where you just have an experience or you hear something, someone says something to you and you're like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, because this is really, really common at the beginning of a person's awakening. And we'll call it spiritual experience. We're all spiritual beings, so any experience we have it's our experience. But we doubt them. This massive doubt comes in because the mind is going, what that's not normal. Yes. And the mind's job is to make things normal and okay and safe. Yes. And time and time again, you will have people who have had a spiritual experience say, did that really happen? Or I dismissed it because it's not. Yes. So it's really common, and it happened to you. So this great big tsunami of energy came and changed your life, and even you had that initial doubt. So just saying this to everyone out there's watching, be careful when you're hanging out the washing, because you never know who might come in.
Yeah, who knew it was a portal to the multi-dimensions.
Totally.
There's got to be something good. There's got to be some benefit to having to continue to do these mundane tasks down here.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I think it's a classic, having hung out the washing. That's just brilliant. So obviously, it feels like this was it's either a timing thing, or did you set this up before you incarnated? Because it sounds like it was a time crossing in your life.
Yes.
That occurred. So Have you
Yeah.
delved
So
into that?
yeah, so I've asked that question of my guides, and the answer I got, because I think my question was, why is this happening, or why is this happening to me? And the response that I got was, if you chose this, you signed up for this. This is all been orchestrated by you, for you. And the timing piece was interesting because I remember them telling me, because we will talk about, that was the first of a number of guides that came through, but I remember them saying to me that kind of no matter where my life was at that point, this was happening. When I was 36 and the year of the dragon, because I was born in the year of the dragon in 76, and there was something, for some reason I'd chosen this year, that it was, I don't know if it was going to be March or whatever.
The golden dragon. So that's
76,
interesting.
yeah, 76 was, but I actually only just looked up yesterday, and I think 2012 was the water dragon.
The water dragon. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Dragon energy, earth energy. That's, yeah. In fact, you know, it's one of those things they talk about with the column below. Another name for the column below. So this is your root chakra and below, guys. And interestingly, as you said, you don't think you had any shoes on. You were really grounded, so it was perfect.
Yeah.
And they call the column below, so below the chakra and down to the feet and even beyond and into the earth, they call that dragon energy.
Right. Okay, I didn't know that.
So, coincidence? Perhaps. No.
Yeah.
Had you done much spiritual work before this had happened?
So, my interest in the bigger questions started when I was about 15, and I had a beautiful cousin, and she was just so full of energy. She was amazing at sport, like incredible basketball player, netball player. Always, to me as a younger cousin, I always felt like she was so vibrant. Like she was probably 4 years older than me, I think. I might have that wrong. And when I was 15, she died of Hodgkin's. And I remember that really was a moment where I started to say, hang on. Like, what's happening here? This doesn't feel right to me, that a life would just end and that there's nothing more. And so I started, I mean, we didn't have the internet back then, right? So this was like 92 maybe. Or maybe we did, I don't know when the internet came, but we didn't have a lot of resources that we could access in this way. So I remember hunting and looking for books. And so I started reading quite a lot about near-death experiences, just to kind of give me some answers. So that's probably a little bit unusual as a 15-year-old. I remember being in church. I was brought up Catholic. I'm not currently Catholic, although I love Jesus. I remember being in church, and I remember thinking, I'm going to be a priest. I'm going to be a priest. I was very diligent in wanting to learn the words in church and wanting to understand the rituals, and it interested me. So that probably then extended into, while I was in the law world, I was working in one of the big firms at the same time, studying different modalities. So I did my Reiki, I did some kinesiology, I did my Qigong master training. So I was definitely interested and wanting to understand all of those things. So yeah, prior to this, I had definitely, been interested. But I never expected anything like this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's next level for sure. But it's interesting because it seems like your life up until that point was like a prelude. It's extraordinary what you do as a training, even though you don't know that's because you don't know what's coming in the future.
Yeah.
Unless you're extraordinarily psychic, and
Mm.
often you can pick somebody else's future but never your own.
Yeah. But we don't want to know. We don't want to know, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, we came here for the fun of it. Like, why would you want to have like the outcome of a movie, like start a movie and you already know like all the bits and all the pieces and you know the ending? It's like, that's not fun.
Boring. Too
Yeah.
controlled and too boring. Nothing exciting, nothing spontaneous would happen,
Yeah.
would it? If you knew
No.
everything that was going to happen, you'd just control yourself in line with that.
Yeah.
Whereas, I think we've got to change our whole perception of the feeling of fear and what is, this is one way that I learned how to overcome fear, because I've got this astral body that is very it has a lot of fire, and as a result you get a lot of surprising experiences, which when you're younger you can't cope with that. It's like, oh my god, what's going to happen? A lot of shocking experiences. But those experiences can be like exciting.
Yeah. Well, the body doesn't know the difference. It depends what we tell it, what we're experiencing. Yeah.
So excitement is like the other side of the feeling of fear. And if you change your perception into one of excitement, then the fear just, disappears. And you can enjoy the experience.
Yes.
So, yeah, just bear that in mind, guys. This fear of the unknown is probably one of the biggest ones that you need to learn how to overcome, and just take it as it comes. And this is an exciting experience. It's a new experience, and run with it. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit, oh my god, but then it becomes quite enjoyable. And once you have mastered that experience, you go, oh wow, look what I did, and there's life. There is life. So
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a bit cliched to say it, but it is really into the dropping back and to the surrendering and to the allowing moment to moment to just unfold. And the more we try and control, the more we try and attach to things, then we just create suffering. The more we want things to be as they're not currently, the more we just kind of accept, okay, this is how it is right now. So let's just drop in and experience this, whatever it is. And from our soul's perspective, the way we experience things from the human perspective, time in our lives that are sometimes the most full on, the most harrowing, the most, oh my God, I'm experiencing the full on fear or the panic or whatever it is. For our soul, it's like, oh, awesome. Look at that. Like she or he is like right there in the human experience, feeling all of that stuff. Like it's a completely different perspective that is had from our fullest and most expansive part of ourselves compared to the way that our finite, limited human mind experiences things.
Yeah, that's massive. When you can comprehend that your human experience is way bigger than what you think. And if you keep it in a box, in that little box, oh my God, it is extraordinarily limiting. And most people live in that box, and we have to get out of the box, So it's good to contemplate your own, your own little mind box that you keep yourself in, and take a bit of a breath and go, okay, I'm going to have a different experience.
Yeah, and not even necessarily getting ourselves out of the box, but actually integrating the two experiences. So we've got our human experience that we came for, that was intentional and a lot of consideration went into deciding all of the things of your lives, humans. And then we've got this bigger, expansive, eternal part of ourselves that is also experiencing that with us, but from that different vantage point. So it's like that dance and that integration. So I think sometimes when we're on this spiritual journey, we can want to turn away a little bit too much from our human self and want to be all blissed out and all zen and up in the esoteric, mystical things. But we've got eons for that. We came for humanness. We came for human experience with all of the polarity and all of the stuff and it's a freaking mess here, right? It is absolutely a beautiful, divinely orchestrated one, but like all of the opportunities here for massive, tremendous, accelerated growth for us at that soul level, like this realm is ripe for it, because we are just constantly having situations arise to kind of get us going, oh, right? I always say to people, it's like we have these waves of stuff that come for us to kind of work through, and you feel like, right, oh my God, we just got through that. We just got through that one. Okay, we're good. And then it's like, you take a breath, and then it's like, oh, here comes the next one. Like you that's what I feel like Earth is. It's just like, whoa, you know. And I know that your audience will relate to this, because no one who comes to this realm comes and just like surfs all the waves, perfect waves, no getting dumped under and swirling around the bottom, right, and feeling overwhelmed. That's not the design of this learning facility. It's like, this is hardcore. Like, this is the souls who have signed up for like the extreme soul evolution version. Like, okay, I'm gonna go in. I'm going, like, we're going in. Whoa, get ready.
So we truthers are the extremists of this current epoch. This is amazing. You know, it's amazing to look at it from that standpoint. The quickening is something that is spoken about, and I think you've just nailed it from a whole different level. That, you know, we can't just stay on this surfboard and flow as easily as what we would like to. We want it to be easy. You know, I speak about, you know, our astral body and the riding the surfboard. You know, Sadhguru speaks in the same terminology, speaking about riding the surfboard.
Oh, right.
You know?
I've never actually said that before, so I don't even know where it came from.
Yeah, well, there you go. Maybe, you know, there's alignments going on above us as we're speaking. That's what forces are. They are waves. They're waves of energy. And so your astrology chart is a collective of your own waves that you've got to navigate. And you either ride them as well as you can and stay on that surfboard as much as you can, or you're going to fall off. And we get dumped and dumped and dumped so many times. And then we get back on the board and off we go, and then we fall off again and we get back on the board.
Yeah,
you know.
Exactly. And also, like, what just comes to me when you say that is, you know what, we've got a lot of, it's choose your own adventure here. We've got an opportunity where you can come and you can kind of try and stay on the board and keep it safe and keep everything controlled and measured and do all the things. But what are we missing when we try and live like that? Because what is under the surface, like if you think about the ocean, we're using this analogy, you would never know the amazing creatures and all of the things that are going on under the surface. We're just kind of like trying to stay on the surface of life and not really like getting in here and just going, we're going to get dumped right in, and whoa, I'm dumped right to the bottom of this mess and hoo-ha. It's like, whoa, that is the most incredible colored fish and thing that I've ever, like, look at that and look at this. And it's like, if you want the full experience of Earth, then it comes with all of it.
You know, it's great that we're talking about this, because, you know, I've also got a friend who's big into earth and earth energies, and in the future I'll have her on the show. And we are here to have an earthly experience. And yet so many people in the spiritual healers community are hell-bent on getting us out of it. And you spend all your time wafting around in these spiritual experiences. You know, something, as you're talking about this, you've nailed something that happened to me. Like, I've got an explanation as to why I'm having the experience I'm having. Because I went through a long phase of having extraordinary out-of-body spiritual experiences, from, you know, actually having presences in front of me in my human form, but they were like beings of light. And right there, an absolutely beautiful feeling that comes with that. And my inward experiences, it was inward and upward, and seeing and communicating with different presences. And through that, look, honestly, it was because of those experiences that I could comprehend what love really is. What we have down here.
Not even comprehend, but you felt it.
I felt it. It tore me apart. You know, it was just, oh my God, you know, and you want that 24/7. And it was one of my major disappointments. But this is part of my journey to have those disappointments, because you can't just stay in the high. You have
so what was the disappointment? Was the disappointment that you now could access that and you'd experience that, and it's like, oh God, I've got to come back and live this earthly life where I'm not feeling that from the human, these human limited beings.
Limitations. So many times I would come out of a meditative space and open my eyes to the reality of the existence outside of these. And that was like, oh my God, it was awful. I didn't want to come back. And that's a trap. That's a trap that we fall into.
And also that's a common experience, like in near-death experiences, where often they don't want to come back. But then they get the pull, or the energetic pull, from family members and things like that. But the interesting thing about that is, from the perspective of guides, non-physical beings, like the team that I work with, they would be thinking the opposite, because they miss those who have been in human form. They miss so much about being in human form. And so like, oh, Julie, like, oh my God, if we were in your physical body today, like the awe that they bring. And when they come into my body, it's like, one of my guides, she gets so excited about fingers, right? So she's like, oh, the finger, you know, she just so excited. Or as you know, she sees things through my eyes, and is just the gratitude and the presence and the awe, and oh wow, that's so beautiful. And as she moves through my body, like if she picks things up, or it's like done with such intention, and just that's a big piece of the messages that they bring, is that for us to really deeply relish every experience that we've got in this human form, because it is such a precious, finite opportunity. Yet so many humans, we just live not remembering or even thinking about the fact that we could die tomorrow, and we don't know how long we've got here. So much of people's lives are lived thinking, oh, well, I'll live my life later, right? I'll do all the sensible things and line up all this and that, and yet down the track, when I've got this and when I've got that, then I'll start to live. And they're always like, everyone just calm down, just slow down and just enjoy your time there.
That is such a good message, and it's very powerful. It's a very powerful message that you've just passed. We are so caught up in all the negatives down here.
And we take for granted we have this incredible communication device, this technology in this physical body where we are able to traverse and be in this realm whilst also having this whole spiritual part of ourselves that's also in the game as well. Like, it's mind-blowingly cool.
It's magnificent. You know, for those that watch the Subtle Bodies, I did a talk on the fourfold model where it spoke about the physical, the etheric and the astral, and the higher self, the ego, the unfallen ego. And that interface between the astral and the etheric is what they're talking about. The feeling, which is etheric, of those spiritual experiences. So when you have connection, I call them connection, these angelic connections. So that's what going is. When you feel that in your body, it's the best. You can't compare it to anything else. And so our etheric physical body is a magic vehicle to have these experiences. So hence, you want to be in your body. Be in your body and have these experiences. So don't wait until you're going off to die.
That's that's right. There was just recently one of my guides, I don't know what it was or what I was doing, but I can't remember where I was. I think it was at the last retreat I was doing. The guide came through and was basically talking about like that moment when you're about to leave your body, and how so many humans in that moment, those leading up moments, kind of as they're kind of connecting in more to everything, say to themselves, oops, I kind of missed the point. Like, oopsie daisy. I all the things that I thought were important, and I, went down and did all this stuff, and like, oh, okay, oopsie. All right, maybe next time I'll.
It's like part of the big cosmic joke, because you've got presences that greet you at your death, in the death space, and here is you going through your own purgatory, and bashing yourself because you didn't do this and you didn't do that, and oh my God, and they're just flooding you with compassion. And it's part of the cosmic joke because they themselves have been through the same thing.
Oh, and they're so funny, and so, like, that's the thing with my guides. Like, they're just hilarious and very light-hearted, and there's just such a lightness about their energy.
Oh, totally. I remember that just made me recall one. I had a prime guide for quite a while, and he helped me through major traumas, and he opened my heart so much. And then he had to he moved on, and he was replaced. I was given this other guide, and oh my God, what a character. Absolutely. He became just such a beautiful mentor. And he's there in the space right now listening. So my heart just
I just felt that too.
Absolutely gorgeous. And I used to walk and he would be standing next to me, and he helped me be able to tune in to this other side a lot better. But anyway, we would play practical jokes on my teacher.
Right.
And this presence and my teacher were actually very good friends above. And they've had past lives together. And they were so, joined at the hip, just absolutely beautiful. And I felt blessed to have him as my mentor. And we used to devise practical jokes. on Samuel, and he had me cracking up in a big way. And of course, my teacher didn't like it very much, and I thought, I'm just going to blame my guide. I'm just going to blame him because you sort it out. You sort it out later.
That's funny. And because laughing has such a healing impact upon us. Because our whole body relaxes. And it's like, oh, that's right. It's just all like fun. It's just all of this. We don't have to take it so seriously. Yeah.
No, exactly. It's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's great to be able to chat with somebody who's had, that can really relate. Yeah, I'm reminiscing.
I mean, everyone has, right? Everyone. If yours, I'm just feeling into some people in the audience might be feeling like, oh, well, I don't have that, and I can't just talk to my guides. But every single person listening to this, you do. You do have a team, a support team, your guardian angel, and a team of guides who want to connect with you. But we've got this free will situation in this particular realm. Yeah. And so it does require that asking. And I know, looking back, because I wondered about that, I was like, okay, well, did I invite this in? And I remember I got very interested in angels, and I was really wanting to connect with my guardian angel. And so I had invited this into my realm, even though I had, made the decision prior to incarnating. The also human part of me had actually had asked to have that connection. And our angels and guides, they utilize as much as they can to connect. So every single person listening to this will have had an experience where words of a song come in that means something or are relevant, or they pick up a book and they just open it at a certain page and the words make sense, or you've had the synchronicity moments where you think of something and then you see something, or whatever. Like, all of those things happen to everyone. Or you have those moments where something, and we call it our intuition, says, hang on, don't do that, or yes, do that, whatever it is. That is often the interplay between the higher self, the guides, the support team, helping to navigate and assist us. We're not just dropped into this full-on realm and our creator doesn't go, there you go, off you go, and we'll give you no support and assistance in this. No way. Our creator loves us so deeply and wants us to have an amazing experience, because in doing that, our creator also gets that, because we are the extension of that. So yeah, you are, if ever you're feeling you're alone and unsupported and misunderstood, you've got a team of beings who are with you and who absolutely understand to the depths of all of your experience in a way that no other human will ever understand.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah. One of your audience has just said that they get that connection through songs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a beautiful topic, and I've just decided I'm going to have you on, more than just today. So we'll have you back so that we can keep talking about these topics. And interestingly, as Goenga said, he's here to help with the awakening. And your timing, you've called this up, I've called this up, and that's the intention to do that. So as I was saying, I wanted to have those experiences 24/7, but it's like my focus had to be more earthly, much more earthly, and so that is where I was focused, is to put your attention down here, because spiritual realms, having those experiences, that's normal. It's like, bring those experiences, bring that part of yourself into the field.
That's right, because it's easy to go off and sit in a cave. Well, maybe not easy, but to just go and be in a monastery, be in an ashram, be in a cave, and just have your external circumstances pretty controlled, where you can just completely spend your time doing all of those things where you're connecting. But we're here for that humanness. So it's like, okay, you have those insights, you have those connections. And so then that allows us to integrate that into the way we are in the world, and to then extend that resonance, so that can assist in this, what you spoke about, that awakening for other beings then when they come in contact with you, to start to kind of light up and connect those other parts that are already within themselves, but maybe not fully opened, or the gifts, everyone's got all of this. Like, this is who we truly are. We're not this, right? You know that. And I'm sure your audience, if they're watching this, they know that, but it's hard for our mental construct to fully understand,
That blah, 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 blah mind that we have to learn how to bypass, guys. We can't shoot the mind. Don't do that. We got to retrain it, and be more open to what we have and who we are. Absolutely. And as you've said many times, everybody in the audience has this ability, and it could happen spontaneously, like as you're hanging out the washing, or
that's a little bit more unusual, but
it could happen at any time, but you were open to it. I remember making the statement, I want to talk to angels, and I got that, but my mind never expected it. And it was, my mind was saying to the part of me that wanted to talk to angels, get real. The doubting mind, that's what the doubting mind does. But it actually happened. It happened.
It does. And a lot of people then shut it down, or they dismiss it, or they doubt it, or, as you said, they think, that hasn't really happened. And so that's why, for me, like, there was still, that's still that part of me. And I think it's good to have that curious, kind of skeptical part of ourselves. But for me, what really clinched the deal along the way was, there were a number of things that happened that, like, a lot of my work in the workplace space was actually as an investigator. So I would come in, and workplace situation had happened, or conflict and things like that. And I would interview everyone and write a report on the balance of probabilities, what had actually happened. And so there was still that part of me that wanted to investigate myself through this process, to be able to determine what was going on. And I had a few things that I think are worth mentioning that really, it was like undeniable evidence for me. So one of the things that happened, I will actually say, because for many of your listeners, your audience, who have had experiences, and a lot of us have stayed in the spiritual closet because we've been, concerned about what people will say. And it took me 6 years, friends. It took me 6 years to come out of the spiritual closet on this. So it might sound like, I'm just talking about the fact that I channel all these different beings, but this was not an easy coming out process for me. But there were some things that were undeniable. So one was that my voice changed, and I would be singing to the radio, and suddenly I was in tune. I seemingly could sing. And some of the angels, they use my vocal cord, they sing through me. So there had been some things that my guides had done working on my body to kind of purify. And there was a whole lot of stuff, like, if any of you are experiencing this, I would stand, I'd be kind of brought to a mirror, and my jaw would be really unwinding itself. And there was a lot of things, kind of purification things happening with my body, and my body moving around a lot spontaneously, which at the time I was like, oh my God, I'm getting taken over by an alien. What is happening? So, there's an element of it that's like pretty out there. So then that was the voice thing. So that was something that was like a physical change that I couldn't explain. Another thing was I had a coccyx injury when my second child was 18 months. I went to pick her up and I sat my coccyx into the corner of a wooden chair, like, and I pushed my coccyx forward. And I had a lot of pelvis issues. I was on a Zimmer frame and all sorts of things for a period. And I was seeing a chiropractor quite regularly. Now, around this time, I went to my chiropractor and she said, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm working on a different body.
Whoa.
And I was like, okay, that's another piece. And then the final thing that really clinched the deal for me was that at one point, because when all this happened, like over the kind of next 8 weeks, all these different energies started coming in and introducing themselves. It was like, whoa, we've got connection, you know, and I'm this one and I'm that one. And whenever they could get me by myself, which wasn't that often because there's kids around and all of the things. But there was one time where an energy came in, and I remember I was standing at the front of the house at the time I lived in. It had like a full-length mirror, and I was standing there, and I would often channel in a mirror because it looks like I'm having a conversation. So it's like the other person and me, and this energy started speaking a completely different language through me. So I'm like this white Australian woman speaking a language that I don't know in this lived Alicia experience. But you know, when you're talking to someone and they're talking a different language, you can kind of get a sense of what they're saying, their body language, the movement. So I was like that. I was like, I'm getting some of this, and they were kind of moving my hands around through the energy centers and doing this kind of stuff. And I remember as the energy left my body, I actually like almost fell backwards. It was like quite a strong exit. And I remember going, whoa. And I remember at the time saying, hey, team, that's a bit much for me. I'm not quite sure I'm ready to start speaking a different language that I don't even know what I'm saying. And then Arumba, who's a guide who does channeled breathwork through me, he said to me, that is Mina Hassan. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that is. I've never heard that word before. I thought I'll just go to Google, right? Good old Google. We'll see if there's anything. There's probably nothing in there, right? Anyway, Julie, I go to Google. I'll never forget. I remember I'm at my computer and I didn't even really know how to spell it. I type in this thing, Mina Hassan, and comes back to me. This is an ancient dialect of Sulawesi. Do you know where Sulawesi is?
No, I don't.
Sulawesi is the northern tip of Manado, and Manado is an island in Indonesia.
Wow.
Manado is the birthplace of my blood grandfather in this physical life.
That's extraordinary.
Right. Like, you can't make this up. And I didn't have a lot to do with him. I would say, I might be wrong, but I might have met him in my life maybe 3 to 6 times. I'd never sat down and discussed ancient what language did your family speak back in the back. I don't even know if he would have known that language because he definitely didn't know how to speak it. I imagine it was like an ancient language. So this is an ancestral guide, but also kind of through the bloodline here, who was talking in this language through me. So I was like, all right, I can't make that up.
No, I'd not heard of either of those names. You know, tip of Indonesia, and I can get a visual, but those names, no, absolutely not. That's extraordinary. And I think Goenga, when I first heard of his name, because I've seen you do channels with him and Amaya, that triggered a memory that it's in the Hindu line. So Goenga, or some similarity to that lineage.
Yes.
He's he's a spiritual initiate in India, and I've heard my teacher. I'm sure it was him that's just mentioned his name, because my teacher uses a lot of Hindu philosophy in his teachings, and he's basically married the Christian esoteric with all these other religions. So I'd heard that name through there, and so it's like, wow, what are the odds?
Yeah. Well, that could definitely be the case. I know there's a Goenka who is the Vipassana teacher, but the guide definitely says Goenga.
Goenga, yeah,
not Goenka. So it's pretty fascinating. It's pretty interesting. It's really interesting stuff. If you're into this stuff, for many humans, it's like, thanks, Alicia. I'll just kind of you do your thing, and I don't understand, and that's fine too. We're all here with different curriculums.
Yeah, exactly. So, how about we get into asking whether Goenga or Amaya would like to give the audience a message.
Sure.
Us truthers have been through a very difficult time in the last 3 years, particularly. And, we would like to know exactly, but I know these answers are just impossible to get. We'd like to know when everything is going to start changing, and when all this cabal nonsense is going to be cleaned up. We've been waiting with bated breath. We've endured a lot with our families and friends. We've lost friends. We've lost family members all over what's been going on to us. We can say to us because we have been on the front line of receiving a lot of negative.
That's still for us.
Honestly, we have been cut. We're such a force. The Truther movement, we are such a force. Seriously, I take my hat off to everyone that's in the community, because we have endured so much, and we're still smiling. We can still, stand here and go, we've got this. So moving forward, this community is just going to be kicking goals like you wouldn't believe. So, I can say that on behalf of my connections, but let's hear from your guides, and you can tell us who comes through.
Yeah.
Go for it, Alicia.
Thank you. So I'm just going to have a little bit more water, because often if I don't have enough water, it just makes it a bit more tricky. So the way that the connection works is I open my channel and the guide will come in, and it's definitely a very sacred ritual. It's not like a party trick, and it took me a long time to even be doing this in front of people because of all of my own fears about what people would think, because it does look very strange. And so for the audience, you might even want to listen to the message with your eyes closed, because otherwise there's a bit of a cognitive dissonance where you've seen me and you've seen me talk as Alicia, and then suddenly you're looking at like the same body but someone else talking through me. So that can be a bit disconcerting for the human brain. So to really get the full experience, you might want to just close your eyes. Goenga looks the strangest coming through me because he does contort my face a little bit, but I think it's nice and appropriate to bring him through first, because he was the first guide who came through. He won't necessarily provide specific information in terms of the things that you spoke about, but who knows? It's usually kind of more, I don't know, more not so specific, but general kind of message. But I don't know. We'll see. He certainly hasn't given me a lot of specifics around those things that you've spoken about. So yeah, I'll bring him through, and he can give us a message. And so he's like a masculine father spirit guide. He refers to him. I feel like he's very much a fatherly figure for me. And then I'll bring through Amaya, who's not actually my mother spirit guide. There's another one, but Amaya is my healing guide. She's the guide that takes over my body and does all my one-on-one energy healings. She uses a lot of sound, frequency, vibration, and she may also bring through some light code. So if you haven't experienced light codes, this is sound frequency therapy kind of thing. Medicinal, she talks about it being medicinal tones to bypass our human structure and to communicate more with that energetic part of ourselves to assist us, only for our highest and our best.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, Goenga, I humbly request you come into my channel. I open my channel fully for you with no attachment for whatever it is that you're going to share. I trust you entirely. And I ask that you please share whatever it would be for our highest and best. And then Goenga, after that, if you could please pass the baton to Amaya and she can share whatever would be relevant. And again, Amaya, I open my channel to you fully for our highest and best. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Goenga.
Thank you, Alicia. Wonderful, wonderful. And also to you, Julie, for inviting this, for us to have the opportunity to connect with those of you whom see, hear, connect, feel this transmission, this information. So, we do have great, deep compassion for you all in human form. We also have great admiration for you have chosen to walk your feet on your realm as such an expensive time as it is, where many circumstances have all been arising seemingly simultaneously all at once in many facets and areas of your realm. And for many humans, it has been a time of great confusion, of overwhelm, stress, and even panic at times. And we can understand from the human vantage point why you would have had such responses at various times. We seek only to provide you with hope. With hope. You see, all that is occurring, all that is seemingly occurring, shall we say, is only the playing out of the many and varied energetic arrangements on your realm, the expressing out of the many energetic building up within the system, shall we say, for it to be returned back out into the tapestry of your realm, and it is occurring in a way that is quite intense for many humans. But we want you to know that all is in hand. All is in hand. And the truth of you, of each and every one of you, is untouched by all of the happenings on your realm. Truly untouched. They are not real in the sense that from the human perspective, you may feel them to be real. This is the playing out of many things, many experiences, but it is not insignificant, it is not meaningless. But you as the human get to make various choices about your experiences and how you want to interplay with all of the things occurring. So it is ultimately each of you are experiencing your own version of all of the world right now. So you get to choose how you want to play amongst it all and how seriously you want to take it all. And what is going to be most enjoyable for you, my darlings, because there is so much to be enjoyed on your realm. So very, very, very much. And we certainly wish for all humans to truly enjoy each and every part of that. But for some humans, that involves enjoying their experience by becoming very involved in certain parts of your realm. And that is all fine. There are no good, bad, so to speak, from the way that can be seen from the human vantage point. All is merely an experience for you to experience and go through, traverse, to learn, to grow, and all such things. Ultimately, when you complete your earthly steps, you return the true part of you. And you remember to the depths that none of it has truly harmed you. You have experienced, you have learned, you have grown, and all such things. But your true essence, the part of you that is eternal, the part of you that existed before this human version and beyond this human version, will continue indefinitely, is inextinguishable. So now, imagine how powerful you are. If you are inextinguishable, you cannot be destroyed, my darling. This is how powerful you are. So, our message is always to have more fun with the ride of your life. Have more fun. Yes, it is good to get information, to exercise the mind in all of the things that are of interest to you. Of course, of course, of course. But also to notice, look around you, all of the things in your everyday experiences, to look upon them as though it was your first time being dropped into the earthly realm. Ah, wonderful. Look at the colors of this flower. Look at the texture. Feel the texture. The design. Oh, every time you try a new food, every time you taste any food, to truly experience and enjoy, to connect with other beings whilst you are in the physical, to hold, love, and extend yourself in ways that are bringing forth and extending frequencies and energies that are creating the existence that you would like to see and experience in your realm. Yes, yes, yes. Each and every one of you has that opportunity to choose your frequency emissions, so to speak. So, my darlings, please know, all is in hand. You are protected always. Always. Earth is very important to the overall tapestry. Earth is very important. There is great interest in watching all that is taking place. Not only watching, but great assistance provided. And many, you use the word soul, spirit, whatever you use, have chosen to come at such a time to be very supportive of your realm. So wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Alicia. Okay. Thank you, thank you. It's a pleasure for me. This is Amaya. I work with Alicia. Together, together, together. So. Yes. I continue with the message, with the theme that has been provided by my friend Goenga. So, my darlings, you are energetic in nature. And the more that you understand this, the more fun you can have in your experiences there whilst you are traversing all of the things. You see what we see, our observation. And we do not say this in any sort of condescending way, for we only have a depth of love, unconditional love for each and every one of you on your journeys. However, so many humans are dragging their feet, these beautiful been given to walk the earth here, to tap into, tune into this realm. But many are not enjoying their experience, being very bogged down with the drudgery of what they feel is their experience in your realm. So we want to remind you of the power that you have. We want to remind you of the power that you have in terms of your interpretation of your experiences there on this realm. Your intention is deeply transformative and assists you to experience all of the many things from a lightness, from a sense of curiosity, looking upon your experiences like a brand new child who is doing all such things as going his head for the first time. And to truly be very intentional, conscious about how you spend that time you have there. And are you doing things that bring your heart to light, that make you feel full of energy? Or are you continuing to make choices where you feel your energy draining and depleting out of your system? So, we cannot tell you what to do, my darlings. We cannot. We can only make suggestions and to provide guidance. So you can ask yourself the questions for this beautiful life you have. How would you love it to be? How would you love to feel? And what are the choices perhaps that you could make each day to create such a wonderful experience for you? And of course, there will be times where the experiences certainly do not feel wonderful at all. And I remember I have traversed your realm many on times. And I was a slow learner. I was a slow learner indeed. So enjoy your time there. Be wary of the ruminations that can occur, that can take you in all sorts of avenues. You don't want to miss your experience, your unique experience of being in your particular physicality. It is only you who can make the choices for your life. Put yourself, my darling, front and center of your life so you can make choices that feel good in alignment. Otherwise, the resentment starts to build, the anger starts to build up in the system. And this can create densities of energy within the energetic system. So we want only for you all to enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. Connect with all of the wonderful things that there are on your realm for you to experience. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Alicia. I'm back.
Beautiful, beautiful from both. It was wonderful, the two different energies, and they were quite tangible to feel, the male and the female, but it was an interesting difference. Not so male, not so female. It's quite subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful messages. Beautiful messages, absolutely.
They're so good. They're just so lovely. You just feel this love, this just it's incredible love and calmness, where we as humans, what I find, because often my life can be pretty messy, right? Those of you who've got kids, like we've got a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, so we're doing the full teenage things, and then we've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, plus having to be in the world and earn money and do all of the things. Like it's full on. It is really full on. But what I find is that the best thing that my guides have given me is I just have this deep sense of everything's going to be okay, and deep peace. And so even when my human self is having all of the things, it's like in parallel, I can be feeling very calm, and my human self can be experiencing all that it's experienced, but they're kind of sitting together. And it's like this divine human, or the divine human they talk about, my guides, like the divine human, like kind of bringing those parts of ourselves together, where you're kind of observing all the things that you're doing, but you're being held through that as well.
Yeah, that's a great term to say, the divine human. And because so many are dissing the human experience, making it out to be something we're being punished for, or there's so much sadness in the human experience. But we really do need to change our perception of what that really is.
Well, we chose. No one got sent here. No one got sent here to be, and there are plenty of beings lining up to come and experience this extreme sport.
Yeah.
And so it's not, we're not victims. We're not victims to this experience. We are co-creators in this.
Absolutely. And that term divine human, I'm going to use that a lot more. I think more so, you can, I get glimpses, and I need to tune in more to my higher self, because she's the one that just, has no fear, knows what to do. There's no procrastination. There's just a full-on vista in front of her. But making that part a default standpoint is necessary, and even when you say higher self, it's sort of something pulls you out of this divine human. And so I love that term, divine human. I think that's a much better principle.
Well, it's not my phrase, it's a term. It's definitely has come through from my guides.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So what does it feel like when you're having either of any of them come through your body?
So initially, like the first periods of it was actually very tiring for me. So when back in 2012, I would do a channeling, and I would find it quite tiring, because energetically I've got to kind of reach up, and they're reaching down a lot, and so it did take a lot from me. But it's like anything. It's like learning how to play anything, learning how to do anything. And over time, just with the practice and now the connection is so much easier. Because there were periods where it would be very clunky, the connection. Like they explain it to me, it's like radio stations, and that they're just getting onto my channel. They get onto my station, and sometimes it's a bit zit when you're getting onto a station, and then you're right in and you're on the channel. It's like, okay, they're in. And so, but now for me, it feels very natural. It feels very calm. It's like this is an interesting point. I felt when it all started, I just felt like my energy would drop back to my right shoulder. So if there's any mediums watching this, they might actually see the transfer of energy, because I was doing a talk one time and there was a medium in the audience, and she came up to me and she said she saw the transfer. She could see my guide's energy kind of come to the front, and she said, I saw your energy just drop back to your right shoulder. And I said, that's exactly where I go. That's exactly where I feel. I feel like I just sit here and observe it. So I'm a conscious light trance channeler. All of this I didn't understand. I didn't know the words until a lot longer. I didn't even know I was a channeler for about 6 years. I didn't even know the word. The only thing I'd ever seen was Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost, where she was actually more like a medium. Well, she was channeling, but a loved one who passed. Anyway, so that I'm conscious, whereas there are some channelers who are deep trance channelers who they're not conscious. So I heard that whole message in the way that you heard it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Being conscious of it. Yeah. The only thing I find when I don't do it like you do. I do have connection that they use my throat, and it's like their words are coming out of my mouth, and there's an energetic adjustment that happens. So I'm fully conscious of what's being said, although my ordinary mind is going, wow. Thinking wow while it's happening. I do remember that happening a few times. But your body of energy would have had to have adjusted to accommodate these connections using your body, would they not?
Yeah, that's my understanding, is that they've done some changes to me, and then over time, like I wasn't drinking alcohol anyway. I eat pretty clean, so I think that there's something around that makes it easier for me. I'd stopped alcohol at 30, so it was like 6 years after that. So there was kind of some purification. Not that I'm anti-alcohol, friends. You can channel and drink alcohol, but certainly. Yeah.
So Alicia, we could talk for hours.
Yes.
And I would totally love to. And I'm going to have you on again in the future, so we can have more.
Sure. Maybe Maya can bring some light codes that time, because she didn't do it in that one. Yeah.
That would be absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. It's I've got warm fuzzies. I think it's just absolutely beautiful. I love this woman. I love what she does. I love the connections, and so you've just done something for me in the space as well, which is just absolutely brilliant. So audience, I hope you've really enjoyed our special guest Alicia, and the conversation that we've had about our guides and spiritual connections and being a divine human. So have a wonderful week and enjoy it, as Goenga said, and Amaya, start having fun. Learn how to have fun.
Lighten up.
Lighten up, guys.
Everyone calm down.
Absolutely. Lighten up. And until next week, guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you next week. Bye for now. Bye, guys.
Thank you.